Okay, so today, sit back in the chair. So today we're going to discuss what vice presidents was a topic of dinner conversation I had. And, okay, I'm a Republican. I tend to vote for the Republicans. So I'm not completely unbiased in my views. But as I think I can be objective in this particular thing. We haven't had a vice president actually become president since 1974, when Ford became the president to replace Nixon. I remember that vaguely. I was only about 3 years old at the time, but I do remember my mother vaguely explaining as much as she could to a 3-year-old boy what a president does, and the new president will take over and his name is Ford, like the car. And I think I understood the concept, and I do remember Ford being president, losing his re-election bid to Carter and whatnot. And so I do remember that. Now, out of the last 25 years or so, our vice presidents have been and what triggered this conversation, I really better tell you this first, is a couple of people that I know really dislike Dick Cheney. Well, I understand that some of the things he does or has done might not exactly be by the book. But let's say in the last 20-some years, if we did have a president die or have to resign abruptly, or for whatever reason, the vice president inherited the president's job, who have we had in the last 20-some years? Well, Bush Sr. became the president upon his election. I've read that he was the first sitting vice president to be elected president in 152 years. That means holding the office of vice president and being elected president. Like Lyndon Johnson inherited the presidency, but he was reelected, but he was already the president when he was elected. See, he wasn't holding the vice presidential office. All right, so with that being said, out of Dan Quayle, Al Gore, Dick Cheney, and Joe Biden. And then some of the candidates we've had for vice president were Lloyd Bentsen and Jack Kemp. I do like Jack Kemp. He died, of course, but I do like him. Sarah Palin, John Edwards, and out of the candidates we've had seeking the vice presidential office or that held the office of vice president, out of them all, and it's not my own biasness, I have to say, if any of them were to inherit the presidency, I'd take Dick Cheney over any of them, hands down. Hands down. I mean, Dan Quayle, I like his moral values. I don't believe he would be good under fire. Now, I realize you never know until you put somebody in the job, but I don't think Quayle would be good under fire. Lloyd Bentsen was the opponent. Well, I would have taken him over Dukakis, who was the candidate, if it truth be told, but I'm glad he didn't get the position. Then, of course, Al Gore, who was very delusional, or just a bull-faced liar, I'm not sure which. John Edwards is a person I really don't care for. I don't like his smug personality. Sarah Palin, I think she's pretty. I think she's a good moral person. I like her values. I don't know that I'd want her to be president, though. I did vote for McCain, and of course, currently we have Joe Biden. Joe Biden can pucker up and kiss my ass. Americans need to be more patriotic and pay higher taxes. Along with how, when he got busted telling some bull-faced lies about his life, he used the idea that his aneurysm acted up. That was what he said, his aneurysm act. That happened in 1988 when he campaigned for the Democratic nomination. Look it up if you're wondering. So, out of the vice presidents we've had, as far as I'm concerned, if any one of them had to become the president, it's Cheney going away. Going away. So, I might be interested, I would be interested in what other people think, but really I know the country doesn't elect the vice president because in reality that's a very unusual feat. It hasn't happened in 35 years that a vice president became president, and who knows, it may not happen again for another very long time. I hope it never does. I think it's very bad for the morale of our country to lose a president, whatever we think of the president. I think it's very bad for our morale to have him be assassinated or die for any reason.